Hey guys, welcome to the Liberal Hive Mind, a channel solely focused on exposing the abundant hypocrisy of the left. Well, we're headed towards a massive election, and during times of election, during the election season, there's always that groundhog effect, right? We gotta talk about the same things over and over again. The same talking points always bubble up to the surface, the same issues, and in this case, the same whining coming from the left. As expected, especially during such divisive times, the results of this election are going to be razor thin. You know, guys like me who do a show like this, we're in the commentary world, spending a whole lot of time talking about ideas and culture, but also the election analysis. People want to know where the numbers are at, where we're headed, what's the prediction. But as you know, these days, it's hard to make predictions. In 2016, the numbers told you that Hillary Clinton was going to win. 99% chance that Hillary would win. But some of us miraculously got it right, tapped into something, and we predicted that Donald Trump was going to make it. Donald Trump would pull off an upset victory, and he did. But then when you applied that same logic to the 2020 election, it simply didn't apply. Then in 2022, same thing. It's becoming increasingly more difficult to predict election outcomes. Historical trends don't matter anymore. Bellwether indicators recently have also led us in the wrong direction. It's just so hard to predict, and the end results are almost always so incredibly close. And this obviously has had a significant effect on the psyche, on the strategy, and the effect itself seems to be materializing in a sort of desperation. You know what I mean? Especially with left-wingers. They're so desperate to try and guarantee their preferred outcome that their tactics and their rhetoric have become more extreme and more desperate. And so, of course, in this kind of environment, as the left has convinced itself that they are fighting this boogeyman of racism and fascist overtake of American democracy, the desperation is hitting peak levels. And so, of course, we're headed right back to the same issue over the last couple of elections, the issue of voter ID. Here we go again. We got some stuff to get into, so let's roll the tape. All right, folks, so as per usual, the people who keep going on and on about democracy, well, they don't seem so keenly interested in preserving actual democracy now, do they? Probably because a real, authentic democratic process wouldn't exactly benefit them. Just take a look at this idiotic take on MSNBC.
This is, I feel like I say this all the time, it's insane because it is not legal to vote if you are not a citizen of the United States of America.
Right.
Congress has they already passed legislation for that way back before, I could even, go to school, okay?
Right.
Back in the 90s, I think they did this. Right, Michael? I don't know. Michael's older than my father. We joke about this all the time. So now, according to, after, Donald Trump and his insurrection buddy, the Speaker of the House, Mike Johnson, after they had their meeting, now apparently House Republicans are going to pursue legislation requiring proof of citizenship to vote. My question is, so we're going to show proof to Miss Susie at the polling place? How is Miss Susie going to verify? Are we asking people to bring their papers? This is America. So I just want to know, is this what all of the House Republicans want to lay their chips on, even the 18 that sit in districts that Joe Biden won in 2020?
What strikes me is this is the long tail of a long time Republican effort to make it harder to vote, because they know that some of those requirements, having to show a license, they disproportionately impact communities of color. And what's interesting to me is they also disproportionately impact older Americans.
Oh, yes,
right?
yes,
So,
yes.
And that's the part that you would think that Republicans would be more attuned to strategically.
But I think the bigger, broader, scarier point, Alicia, is this is all to breed distrust in our elections process.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. I mean, make no mistake, I still engage with the Republican Party base every single day. I know 70 to 80% of them don't believe Biden really won. But that hardcore base, the 40 to 50%, they no longer trust our elections. Trump is doing this on purpose. Distrust then will lead to violence. It happened in 2020.
Now, I know I presented that clip by saying, take a look at this idiotic take at MSNBC. I think that might have been a little bit redundant. I probably should have just said, just take a look at this MSNBC take, and then the whole idiotic element would have been, self-explanatory or already baked into the goods. But holy moly, my brain hurts once again. What do we expect people to show up with their papers and prove who they are? This is America. Yeah, exactly. And when voting voting in an American election, you should probably prove that you're an American citizen. What is so complicated? Well, the simple fact is there's nothing complicated about this. In fact, every Western developed nation uses voter ID. Here's an interesting chart that I found on r/mapporn. Voter ID laws around the world. What do you notice? Well, the blue countries require voter ID. All the red is where voter ID isn't necessary. But what do you notice? Most of the places where voter ID isn't required are located in the United States, and mostly or almost totally in Democrat strongholds, located along both coasts. You know, left-wingers want to pretend as if it's a crazy thing to require people to prove their citizenship. It's a very basic standard. But Mrs. Simone Sanders was essentially implying that it's a form of fascism, that you need to show your papers. Show your papers. The government wants you to show your papers. What's next? Are they going to require us to wear stars on our shirts? Complete idiocy. You need to show ID to purchase a firearm, to buy alcohol, to get into a bar or get into a club. Is that fascism? No, of course not. It just makes sense to card people because you don't want underage people engaging in these, adult activities. It's not a crazy concept. Everyone gets it, all adults get their ID. They make sure they have it with them because they want to engage in these activities. If you're an adult human being and you're above the age of 21, you make sure you have a driver's license or any form of identification because you would like to go to the bar with your friends and enjoy a nice cocktail, a nice beer, or a nice liquor. It's not a complicated concept. Well, it's the same thing for voting. You want to engage in the democratic process. You want to have your voice heard. You want to participate in the basic civil process. Well, you gotta get an ID and you gotta show your ID in order to participate. Crazy. Well, apparently, according to leftoids, it's fascism and it's racism. Give me a break. And of course, we know that isn't an authentic held belief. They don't actually believe that voter ID is racist. They just know that requiring it hurts them. Because as we know, the leftist intention is to include illegals, non-citizens, in the voting process. So they can continue this racket of promising taxpayer goodies to non-citizens, to illegal migrants, knowing that those people are going to be loyal to the Democrats. The MSNBC hack that we played earlier claimed that Donald Trump was peddling a conspiracy theory about non-citizens voting in elections. Ooh, what a crazy conspiracy theory, as she essentially states that it's ridiculous in America to expect people to have to prove their citizenship in order to vote, or I guess even identify yourself at all. Their preferred system is that people just walk in, take a ballot, and vote. Well, if there's no identification linked towards ballots being cast, can't a person simply walk in, cast a ballot, walk out, put a fake mustache on, walk back in, cast another ballot, this time under a different pseudonym, walk out, put a wig on, cast another ballot, walk out, put high heels on and a dress on, cast another ballot as a different gender? Come on. This is pure idiocy. It makes absolutely no sense at all. They laugh it off and pretend as any concern, anybody who has any issues with no voter ID requirements is somehow a racist or a fascist or whatever label you could possibly ascribe. But are you really crazy? Are you really a nutcase for having these kinds of concerns? Of course not, especially considering the amount of illegal immigration and immigration fraud that currently exists. I mean, for Pete's sakes, last fiscal year, over 3 million people entered the nation illegally. That's in 1 year alone. It's already been 4 years of Joe Biden's open border, not to mention the decades of illegal migrants. There's estimates of possibly over 30 million people residing in the nation illegally. Yeah, you're damn right people should have to prove their citizenship before voting in elections, especially when possible amnesty is on the ballot, as if there's no incentive for illegal migrants to try to cast a ballot. It's completely, utterly ridiculous on its face. Don't really need to say anything else. The clip speaks for itself, and supposedly conservative-minded Americans are the crazy ones. What a farce. Anyways, that's pretty much what I got for you guys. Just your average MSNBC moment. Here we go again with voter ID is racist. In other words, we want illegals to vote. I guess 'tis the consequence of extremely divided, extremely razor-thin elections. Democrats will do anything to win, and once again they prove it. Thanks for watching, and I'll see you on the next one.